Yo, 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 yo. What is up, everybody? Dude, how you guys doing? So check it out. Welcome to the show. This is the smoking section where I bring you hot topics with fire conversation. This episode of the podcast, right, is brought to you by Corpse Collection. That's KORPSXcollection.com. Go check it out. Grab a shirt, a hoodie, a pair of socks, a baby onesie. We got a bunch of shit on there. Go check it out. Cop a few things. $60. $60. You only have to spend $60 and you get free shipping worldwide. Yeah, man. And above that, you know, I want to say I hope everyone is doing okay. I hope everyone's doing okay. Like, COVID-19 at the time of this recording is still a thing. We are still having active protests throughout our country and throughout the world in regards to Black Lives Matter, and it's a really, really crazy time. It's an amazing time to be alive. There's so much change, you know, on the horizon, and I'm so glad to, you know, be part of that change, you know. So yeah, everybody keep fighting the good fight. Yeah, fight the good fight. This episode of the podcast is going to be a little tender, right? And I don't want to go too deep on it, but it's something I do want to recognize. Something within myself that has changed, and something that I want to see more from other people, you know. So growing up, I came from a split household, right? And you know, my parents divorced when I was like in the second grade or third grade, right? Third grade, second or third grade, and I moved to North Carolina by the third grade, right? So even up into that time, up into third grade, right? So, you know, I'm young. I noticed a lot of things. Not only about my parents, but by my grandparents. And this is something that, you know, the whole point of this podcast today is, you know, around our mental health as far as generational scars, right? Like, my grandpa, a man who I love very deeply, and somebody who I hold to such a high pedestal. He was mean. He was very mean. And as good of a man as he was, he did some things, you know, that as I grew older, I just don't align with. And it was also something that he bred into my dad. And my dad, who I hold on anybody who knows me knows how much I loved my dad, and how much he meant to me, you know, and how much I idolized him, and how much, you know, like the type of, you know, just reverence I had for him. But one thing I can't admit is that my dad was a mean motherfucker. Like, like anybody who knew Ron Andrade knew he's 5'3" and full of fury. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this man is crazy. Like, right? But he loved you to an end, you know, to the end. He loved you. But if you crossed him, if you made him feel, you know, if you made him feel threatened, or if you disrespected him, or if you know, undermined his beliefs, he'd come after you, or he'll cut you off, right? And that's one thing that I took from my dad and my grandpa, was cutting people off, right? So now we're here to meet, right? And the thing is cutting people off was easy for me, right? Not just that I'm this cold-hearted motherfucker, but it was easy in the sense to where it's like, okay, now you don't have to deal with them, and you don't have to deal with yourself. You don't have to deal with the ways that they make you feel, right? You don't have to deal with the things that they're pointing out in you, right? And it's really toxic. It's really, really fucking toxic. it's a really toxic trait that I have about myself, right? And it's a generational scar, right? And so so now that you guys know what I'm talking about, generational scars. So it even has to deal with, coming up in a broken home as well. Another generational scar is I don't think I properly know how to love someone, right? Like, I know what I don't want in a relationship. I know what I don't want, but what do I want from a relationship? It's really hard for me to put my finger on it, you know what I mean? Because I've never experienced a happy home. Once my parents split up, they were done. They didn't remarry. My dad had a little girlfriend for a little bit, and my mom had a little boyfriend for a little bit, but it wasn't enough to like really affect our home. You know what I mean? It didn't affect our home life. And so in that lack of effect, it just like I just don't get it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, coming up in a happy home, I just don't fucking get it. Like, you know what I mean? And this is now a generational scar that I passed on, and this is to my point. You guys are going to hear me say this, right? This is a generational scar that I passed on to my son. Now, a lot of you guys might have said, well, oh my God, it's not entirely your fault that it didn't work out, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Yeah, it might not be entirely my fault, but I played a role in it, right? I played a significant role in the failure of that relationship, right? 50-50. You know what I mean? Like, we went half on the baby, we went half on that relationship. So it's 50% her fault, 50% mine. And I'm man enough now, and this is the point of this podcast, right? Of this episode, is in this episode, I want everyone just to gain an idea, right? Gain an idea. Let me spit it out properly. Gain an idea that taking responsibility doesn't prove that we were right, nor dooming us to be wrong. Owning responsibility of our actions and those of our predecessors, right, gives us the opportunity and clarity to make changes for the future, so that people in our future, the people that we hold dear, won't have to experience those same scars, to experience those same wounds, right? By understanding these generational curses that we are born into, right? By understanding them, by recognizing them, honoring them, and being willing to change, we don't subjugate ourselves to a victim's mindset of, oh, well, I was born into this, right? Or, woe me type of fucking mentality, right? I have a beautiful niece who will remain unnamed, but I have a beautiful niece who, her and her sister came from a single mother household, a mother who, worked 10, 12-hour days, damn near their whole life, and she is probably one of the most intellectual and successful young women that I know. She has achieved so many different academic accolades at this point of her tender life that I could have ever have dreamt of. A lot of people think that I'm so smart and shit, from my family, but this girl's a whiz kid. It's like sometimes I'd be having to Google search the shit that she'd be talking about, like, the words, like I can't even spell this shit, and she just rattling it off, and so she's a prime example of, just because we are born into these cycles of, generational scars and generational curses, that, we can overcome these things. We can overcome them if we recognize them. She recognizes that she's a statistic. She's a part of a statistic of young Native American women who are born into single mother households, living in the county in which we grew up in. It's a crazy statistic to be a part of, and she beat it. She beat all those things, and she continues to impress us, and she's got no plan on slowing down. So for me, right? For me, I just want all of us to understand, right, that there's some things that happen to us that are way outside of our control. It's so far out of our control, but just because those things are out of our control the echoes of those actions, those echoes of those decisions that were made before our time, those echoes are still reverberating in our time now. And those are the things that we can control. We can control how we choose to react. We can choose how we educate ourselves. We can choose what we allow in our space and within our energy, and we can also choose in which we give our energy to. We live during a time where information is so fucking abundant, and the resources for that information is abundant, and the ability to share that knowledge is abundant. We have global platforms at our fingertips. Like I'm literally recording this message that I hope echoes. I'm recording it right now, and it'll be distributed onto all these different platforms for me. Like, come on now. Generational curses don't have to be our doom. If anything, they should be our liberation. They should be the thing. It should be the very thing that liberates us from this idea that that we are our scars, that we're doomed, right? Like, we're not doomed. Our birth isn't damnation, right? Our birth isn't damnation. Our birth is an experience. This whole life is an experience, right? We are souls having human experiences. So just because we were born of a flesh doesn't mean that we need to allow this flesh to taint us, right? Generational curses is going to be something that, even if you live the most modest and purest, blessed life possible, there's still going to be some generational curses that you pass onto yours. Whether you do it consciously or subconsciously, there will be, right? But our job is to deal with the ones that we have now, and so that when our kids are old enough, we can pass on the knowledge on how we did it. This podcast is tough. This episode was tough, and I didn't know how I truly wanted to present it. But I'm presenting it the only way I know how, right? There's a lot of generational curses that me and my family deal with that we're trying to break the chains of. You know what I mean? And I used to get real frustrated. When anybody would talk bad about my pops, or they would talk bad about my grandpa, grandpa especially. But I would get so frustrated, you know what I mean? But we have to hold responsibility to them. Yeah. And that's I think the main hook of this podcast of this episode is hold responsibility of our curses. You know what I mean? Like, we have a responsibility to them. We, like I was saying earlier, you know what I mean? Like, I passed on a generational curse to my son, now that he's growing up from a broken home, I own my responsibility for it, and it's not my job to try to make her own her responsibility of it. It's not my job to have anybody hold their responsibility. It's our job, right? To hold responsibility of the things that we bring into this world, for the things that we choose to enact on. We have to hold responsibility. Yeah. Because I can be like, oh, well, I'm a Native American, and, my people have went through all this struggle and blah, 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 and it's like, cool, that's great and all, you know what I mean? But now what? Now what? Now what are we going to do about it? And I have to hold responsibility to it. I hold responsibility for it. There's a part of me that knows that even though the chips were kind of stacked against me, I can still be great. I can still be amazing, right? And I take responsibility of that. I take responsibility of the choices of my forefathers, right? I mean, their sin isn't mine, right? Their sin isn't mine. But the responsibility of the task at hand is now mine, because I know right from wrong. And I hope that makes sense. I really hope all that makes sense for you guys. Yeah, generational curses. I think that's what I'm gonna title this. Yeah, that's what I got for you guys today. Listen. Before I do my whole little sign off with you guys, listen. I'm a listener supported podcast. I do not accept donations from anybody. Yeah, I do not accept donations via any type of platform. Right? Yes, I do ask for you guys to go check out corpsecollection.com. Other than that, I don't want your money. I don't think that you guys should be giving me your money on a monthly basis, like some kind of, payment plan or something. I don't like subscription. I don't want that. If you guys, fuck, I can't get the words out. If you guys can, right? If you want to support me, this is how I want you to support. Subscribe, leave a review and a rating. It doesn't matter if it's 1 star, 5 stars, 4.5, preferably 5 or 3. It doesn't matter, right? Leave a review. You can literally just put one word. You can put dope. And that would make the fucking world to me. Share this. If you see it on Twitter, if you see it on Facebook, if you see it, where else do I share this shit at? Anywhere. If you see this link to the smoking section, please share it. Share it with a friend. Yeah, it's like a drug, a good drug that you want to share with your friends. Yeah, like those Flintstone vitamins that we all used to eat as kids. Whoever had them would flock to them. So share it, man. Share it with a friend. Share it with your mom. Share it with your colleagues. Share it with your preacher. I come raw, uncut, and unfiltered, just like some good tobacco. But that's the true way that I want. If I'm gonna have you guys support me, that's the way I want it. Yeah. I'll do my own job on getting sponsorships and stuff and growing. But as far as everybody who tunes into this, I'll just share it. Yeah. Help me out. I love you guys. I hope everyone is safe. I hope you guys are doing well. Follow me on Instagram at Corpse. That's KORPSX. Send me a message. Let me know what you guys think about this episode. Yeah, I've had some people write me. They've wrote me on Instagram, and it's really cool. It's really cool to interact with some of the people who listen, and they're from Germany or some shit. And one guy was from far away, somewhere, I can't remember. But it was cool. It was really cool talking to him. Yeah, I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you have a great week, an awesome month, an amazing year, and I hope you have a wonderful life. Until next time, I'll see you on the flip side. Stay motivated, all right? Bang.